All right, it's no secret lumber prices are on the rise, but what is this doing for the housing market? What is it doing for the overall economy? How does lumber affect the housing and the U.S. economy? We're going to get into that right now. Hello, and thank y'all for tuning in. My name is Wayne Turner. I'm a real estate broker and owner of Turner Real Estate Group right here in New Orleans. And yes, I still am active in selling, brokering real estate and have been for 26 years. I'm sure you've heard and seen that home prices are through the roof. Many of you watched the video that I did just a week ago, just a really short video. But I was shocked when I was there to purchase 3 boards, a 2 by 12 by 10, right? Untreated, meaning it's not pressure treated, it's meant for indoor use. That one board, $37.92. $37.92 for one board. Oh, hell no! Now, these prices are causing a huge impact on builders' prices trickle down to homeowners, and the builders basically just keeping up with the inventory with the overall demand. I mean, lumber prices year over year, and we're recording this video in April, the last week or so in April 2022, but lumber prices have increased 50% literally in 1 year over year. So it's leading a lot of builders to have to build smaller houses. They're looking to build smaller houses, which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing, and I'll share with you here in just a minute why I think that. Now, the big question is, why in the world is lumber going up? Why is it so high? Everything's going up, right? And of course, the price of this lumber increase is due for several reasons. So let's get into that. One, you got to blame it on the pandemic, right? But seriously, the pandemic made people stay in their homes more and also made people realize that they can live in the suburbs, so have a little bit more space. And the big thing is a lot of people are working from their homes now, so they don't have to be within a 10, 15, 30-minute drive, commute, if you will, to and from work when they live in their home. And we're seeing more and more people kind of move 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half from major metropolitan cities. The cost of shipping lumber is going up. These same ships run off diesel fuel. They're diesel engines that run these big cargo ships, the same diesel fuel that you'll see an 18-wheeler rolling down the road. And so when you have diesel fuel at $5 a gallon and you have wood that has to be put on a freighter and shipped, you get an increase in price. So here's a question for you, my curiosity. How far can a cargo ship go on the water on a gallon of gas? Like, it's $5, right? It's diesel fuel, the same fuel that 18-wheelers run off of. So how far can they go? I Googled it for you because I just thought, how many miles can you go? Because I know a lot of boats, you can go 1 or 2 miles if it's a big boat, or if it's an 18-wheeler, they run about 6 miles per gallon. So a cargo ship can travel 51 feet on one $5 gallon of diesel fuel. 51 feet, to put that in perspective, is half the distance between first and second base on a baseball field. Not very far. Another reason is the Canadian government put a little bit higher tariff, if you will, on the lumber. And yes, a lot of our lumber comes from Canada. And of course, quite simply, there's just been an increase in people building things, decks, fences, porches, all things such as that. And you can't help but wonder and think, sawmills had to cut production, just like everything had to cut production during the pandemic. So in the cutting of the production, they were able to basically sell off what they had, didn't know when production was going to start back up. So literally the world stopped, and when it did, it slowed everything down. And then when you pick that back up, it doesn't just start instantly. So a lot of people start consuming, and it takes that role. And so there's been a slowing, if you will, to gain that supply back and get it back to consumers. Now, fast forward a little bit, and historically low interest rates have spurred on the market. And over the last couple of years, we've had fewer people put their homes on the market. Now, fewer people putting their homes on the market, and then we have an influx of millennials purchasing homes, and it is, as many of you watching this know, it's caused a shortage of homes. And of course, with a shortage of homes, people look to new construction, people look to build, people look to buy land to build, and just like anything else, it gets consumed by, quote, consumers, and you have a shortage. So what does all this mean for the housing market? How does lumber hurt home values? How does it help home values? How is lumber cost going up, increasing home values? There's a few things. I mean, first we must look at, it's not just lumber, it's the cost of zoning, impact fees, the cost of land going up, and basically everything involved with the home process and construction. A lot of people don't realize that the electrical wires that run through your house, I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet of electrical wires that run through your house that conduct that electricity. They're all copper, so the price of copper right now is higher than it's ever been in the history of the country. Now, that being said, I do believe home prices will continue to go up. I believe that lumber will continue to go up. I believe that materials will continue to go up. But that doesn't mean it's all doom and gloom. I still think there's going to be some positivity that will come out of that. And you're probably thinking, well, what in the world could come out of it? It's coming out of my pocket, and it's having to go into houses, and I don't want to spend that much money on a house, but I don't have much of a choice. But what good can come out of that? And there's a few things that can come out of that that's, I think, can be a good thing. I mean, for one, I think home builders are going to be forced to build smaller homes. I think it's not so much them being forced to build smaller homes, but they're going to look at, wait a minute, to get the cost down, I've got to build a smaller home. And it's cheaper to build a two-story home than it is to build a one-story home. So we'll probably start seeing more two-story homes come on the market. As we see smaller homes, it's not so much the builders wanting to build a smaller home as it is the demand for consumers wanting to purchase a smaller home. I'm a big believer in history. I follow history. I love history. And history has a really crazy, weird way of repeating itself. So off the subject really quick, on to history. So look at the vehicle. In the early 1900s, the vehicle was really small. And as the decades went on in the 40s and 50s and 60s, those vehicles became big. They were large. Those are big vehicles, right? Now taken to the 70s, we're on to the 70s a little bit. So then came Honda, Toyota. It was Datsun at the time before it was Nissan. You had the Chevy Chevette. You had the the Chevy Vega, you had the Ford Pinto. Those are smaller cars because fuel cost went through the roof. It went crazy, pretty much like it's doing now, just like it did back in 2007. So manufacturers started building smaller cars. Now, if you look into the 80s, it was very similar. The cars were small. They were still called mid-size sedans. They were still mid-size cars, but they were pretty small. Now, stay with me here because I'm going back to the whole history of things. So now as we roll into the 90s, cars became a little bit bigger. So here we are, 2022. Have you seen the size of a 2022 Camry compared to a 1990 Camry? It's unbelievable the size difference in these two cars. But what does that have to do with real estate? Well, I think history repeats itself. I think oftentimes so much happens in life, and it happens for a reason, and it has to happen because it is an outcome for something that has to be changed. It has to be shifted. I mean, they made small cars, they made bigger cars, they made safer cars, they made cars without seatbelts, and they put seatbelts in them. Now you got airbags everywhere, and then they made so you get it. What I'm saying is, I really do think that society is going to go back to a smaller home. The average size of a home right now is like 2,200 square feet. And years ago, it was like 1,200 square feet. I personally grew up in a 1,400 square foot home, 4 bedrooms and 1 bath. Now, you may know this, you may be aware of this, or you may have noticed this. You will now for sure, because your reticular actor in your brain is going to kick in and be like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that, but now you will. The next time you go look at newer houses, a home that's built in the last 5 to 7 years, you'll notice not too many of them have formal dining rooms. Not too many of them have formal living rooms. Why? Because people really didn't use the space. Now they'd rather have a little bit open floor plan, an open, larger eat-in kitchen, no formal dining room or no formal living room, and share that space a little bit elsewhere. And we're seeing the houses kind of small a little bit and shrinking a little bit. It's not so much the rooms are shrinking. It's still an open concept, tall ceilings. It's just kind of pinching out rooms that aren't used in a home. And of course, with lumber prices going up, we're going to see a shift in materials. We're going to see an opening, if you will. We're going to see a creativity and inventive of new materials coming on board to build houses and structures. It's just, you can't help but innovate whenever there's a demand and a shortage. It's like, what else can we make? What products can we do? What can we build with? And what is a second source besides just lumber? And hopefully it will be a lower cost. Hopefully we can come up with products at a lower cost. I know that they're playing with this idea. They're working with this idea of the printed home. Have you seen that? So, a printed home. The first 3D printed home was completed last year in Germany. Now, this is a 1,722 square foot home built with a 3D printer. And no, they didn't use ink. They used concrete. A single family, detached, 1,722 square foot home was made with this big, huge machine out of concrete. pretty cool. You know, and some interesting numbers is in 2015, between now and 2015, 7 years, the cost of lumber has physically doubled. And so in doing so, if you're watching this and if you looked at houses in your neighborhood, in your area, in your city and town, you're probably upwards of well in excess of $200 a square foot for a newly constructed home. And I'm just like, golly, I remember they were building new homes in the metro New Orleans, Louisiana area in 2008, 9, and 10, and they were selling them for $92, $94 a square foot. Now the same home is close to $200, if not over $200 a square foot. But it's everything. It's paint. It's copper that it's an all-time high that I mentioned. It's flooring. It's the asphalt shingles. It's sheetrock. Everything has gone up. Everything is almost doubled in 7 or 8 years. And you know, despite all of that, the numbers and the price and double, and you're probably thinking, geez, Wayne, I know that. All these professionals, people at the National Association of Realtors and at Redfin and Zillow and Realtor.com, they're all saying the same thing. We're going to have a stable economy. We're going to have a calm, forward-driven economy for at least another 12 to 14 months. No one really truly knows what 14 months are going to happen, but I can tell you from my standpoint, I think in the next year it's still going to be strong. I think we're going to roll pretty strong between now and probably into summer 2023. But look, the shortage of anything is basically caused by the supply and demand. How fast is it being absorbed? How fast is, what is the demand of that product? And then the supply, what is the supply of that product? And if the demand is higher than the supply, then you end up with a shortage sooner or later. But there are possible solutions. I mean, the government can step in and say, hey, let's ease off a little bit. Let's tax less. Let's get these lumber, the sawmills cranked up and working, and let's work with Canada because so much of the lumber comes out of Canada. There's a couple of things that the government could be doing to lower the price, and I'm sure you'll agree if you're watching this. So all this said, whether you're buying or selling a home, whether you're doing home improvements or anything like that, I think it's really important for anybody and everybody to do a little bit of education. I mean, let's just Google it, if you will. Watch YouTube videos like you're watching this video. Most importantly, educate yourself and make the best informed decisions. And that's why we try to do this video based on my experience and my knowledge and my opinion and my research, so we can bring it to you to make it simple and easy. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, share it with someone that you know that will be beneficial. Comment, let us know what you think about this video. If there's any other topics or if you have any questions related to the housing market, we'd love to help. And until next time, make it a great day.